Jeff here again, or for the first time if you're just finding this channel, which based on the stats might be the case. Either way, I'm Jeff. I've got 21 days until I start my hike, so I figured I would start covering some of the questions and some of the information that I wanted to talk about in this sort of pre-hike series of videos. And I'm going to start with just kind of answering some of the frequent questions I've gotten so far from people. So number one, I'm Jeff. I'm from Virginia. I have been hiking on and off for, I guess, 8 years now, as far as real backpacking. But I grew up running around in the woods. That was kind of always my background. That was always my happy place, as it were. I only really discovered backpacking in the last 8 years, and I've been hooked ever since. And so as I got more comfortable backpacking, the AT just always became this object, this thing that I kind of always knew in my heart I would have to try. And it's only recently where stars have aligned and allowed me to have this opportunity to try and hike it now in my 30s. It's because I'm intentionally changing careers. I've gone to school and gotten a master's in geography, and so I'm going to be leaving my current field in public safety and going into the field of geography, particular GIS work, geographic information systems. So because I was already planning on changing careers, it just seemed like the right opportunity. I don't have kids other than, you know, these furry ones here. My wife is very supportive and understanding of my, I'll admit, insane dream to hike the AT. And yeah, this is just the chance I have right now before retirement. As for my trail name or my channel name, Geo, that comes from the degree in the name. So my name is Jeff, but it's spelled Geoff, and I studied geography. So Geo Jeff, it was just kind of a natural play on the name. For those of you out there who don't know what the AT is, it's kind of become more famous nowadays. A lot of people have heard of it, even if they don't always know exactly what it is. But the Appalachian Trail, the AT, it is a nearly 2,200 mile long footpath through the woods, the mountains on the east coast here of the US. It goes through 14 states. And the direction that I'm going to be hiking, I'll be going from Maine to Georgia. And so it'll go Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, New York, New Jersey, Pennsylvania, Maryland, West Virginia, Virginia, Tennessee, North Carolina, and Georgia. And I'm praying I didn't mess that up or offend anybody. But those 14 states, the trail kind of meanders down north to south, not perfectly, but basically for those 2,200 miles. For the most part, it's up in the mountains. It will pass down through valleys, or notches, gaps, depending on what state we're talking about. They're called different things. So the whole trail itself, what's really remarkable, besides the fact that it's a 2,000 plus mile long trail on the East Coast, is that it's, Lord, almost coming up on 100 years old, and is basically exclusively maintained by volunteers that dedicate their time, their weekends, to going out there and maintaining that trail and clearing it when there's blowdowns and fixing trail sections, rerouting it when necessary, when an area's gotten too beat up, and it's honestly amazing. So that's kind of the short end of the AT. I might do a video later where I kind of go into it a little bit more if people are curious to know more about it, because I can talk ad nauseum about it. And I'll spare you that right now. As far as why I'm going southbound, because I know most people who have heard of it are kind of familiar with the idea of Georgia to Maine, whereas I'm going southbound. That's also why I'm starting so late. Is because I'm going southbound. Really, let me rephrase that. I'm going southbound because I'm starting late, and the reason I'm starting late is currently I'm assigned to a school. School here in Virginia goes until, at least right now, in my school, goes into June. So I'm going to finish out the school year before I left. Didn't want to leave in the middle of the school year. So I'm going to kind of go into some of the questions, and if you see me looking down and not at the camera, but that's why I'm reading. I've got a laptop, I'm cheating, because I'm not going to remember all these off the top of my head. So I've kind of written down some of the questions, the big ones, the handful of ones I get constantly asked, because they're common questions, so I thought I'd just kind of cover them here. So number one, are you going alone? Yeah. My wife, God bless her, who is very patient and wonderful and supportive. She's not a big backpacking fan, not to this extent anyway. She's gone with me on a number of hikes, a number of backpacking trips, but nothing this long. This just isn't her cup of tea. So I'm going by myself. You know, if you're familiar with the trail, you know you're never really by yourself out there. There's going to be hundreds of other people that are going to be attempting southbound through hikes this year. And so I'm sure I will encounter them and kind of get to know them along the way, and really looking forward to it. How long will it take? It varies dramatically from person to person how long the hike of the AT can take. Some people can do it in 100 days. Some people it takes 6 months, 8 months. So for me though, I've budgeted out 4 months. That's my goal, which is pretty fast. Not crazy fast, but it's just a little faster than probably the average. But that's just kind of my style of hiking. I don't spend a whole lot of time smelling the roses. I probably should, but that's just my style. I like to be moving. I like to constantly see what's over that next hill, what's around the next bend. I just want to see the next thing, and I don't like to sit and stand too long. I like to move. And so that's kind of my style of hiking, so that fits with that as well. It's just what I can afford, honestly. Since I'm going to be between jobs, I don't want to spend too much time out there, because while I'm out there, I'm not going to be making money. So I want to enjoy this opportunity while I have it, but at the same time, I still got obligations at home, and I want to hustle and get back to work and get back to my wife and family and all the fur balls here in my house. Like that one. Where will I sleep? I've got a tent. I'm going to sleep in the woods pretty much exclusively. There will be occasional times where I'll stop in and stay at a hostel or some other roofed location like that when I'm resupplying in a town, or at some road crossings where there's just hostels that are kind of out there that cater to AT hikers. But otherwise, it's going to be my tent. There are shelters out on the trail at pretty regular intervals all over it, but I'm not a huge fan of the shelters, just because you end up having to sleep next to other people, and it's kind of exposed a little bit in there also because they're open on one side, so you're exposed to whatever the weather is, whatever the bugs are like. I just like my tent, so that's where I'll be sleeping. What will I be eating? A lot of people ask like if I'm going to bring like MREs. So MREs are surprisingly heavy. I know you wouldn't think it, but in terms of backpacking, they're pretty heavy. It's because they've got water in them. You just heat the ration itself. What I'm going to bring, and what typically is more common on the trail for hikers, is dehydrated foods. You got like Backpacker Pantry and brands like that. You can bring water or add water that you find on trail. There's stream crossings and things like that. You add water to it, heat it over a small stove that we bring. You rehydrate your food and heat it up on trail. So the food itself that you're having to carry is much lighter, because water weighs a lot. So not having to bring already hydrated food and having that dehydrated food on the trail instead saves a lot of weight that I have to carry every day. I'll add things like oil or packets of like tuna or chicken, like the pouches of it, to get some protein and some fat into the meals, get my calories up, things like that. That's gonna be my main dinners, the big calorie chunk throughout the day. And as far as like my snacks while hiking, it's going to vary whatever my mood is. Whatever I can find at the trail towns that I stop in, or wherever I end up shopping along the way. When I resupply, it could be anything from Gorp, good old raisins and peanuts, your trail mix. Snickers bars are very popular in the trail, and understandably why. They got a lot of calories and they taste good. As far as my gear, I'm going to do another video that's dedicated to the gear I'm going to be bringing, where I'll kind of show you everything I've got, all the clothing I'm going to have, my sleep system, my cooking system, what my backpack is, shoes, all that stuff. I'm going to do another video later on about that is dedicated to that. So that's why I'm not really talking too much about it today. Yeah, so that's it. That was, like I said, just a couple of the common questions. I'm not going to try and make these videos too long or painful to have to sit through. If you have questions, please drop them in the comments down below. Hit me up on my social media. If you got any questions, I'd love to answer them. I'd love to talk more and be more engaged leading up to the actual trip, which again is in 21 days from now is when it starts. So in the meantime, just be on the lookout for these videos. If you want to get updated, hit the subscribe button. Give me a like. Let me know you're watching it. So, and with that, I'll see y'all later.